Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, consider subscribing and liking and hitting the notification bell. Each week I try to make new videos about my van or things that I'm doing or questions that people have. This week's video is on questions that some of my subscribers have been asking me or commenting about, so that's what this one is about. If you are a subscriber, I just want to say thank you so much because we have hit 2,600 subscribers by this point. I actually last week was going to do a video thanking you for hitting 1,000. So this is crazy. I am so grateful for you tuning in and watching, and I am grateful for the people who have hopped over from other channels. I know Carol from Glorious Life on Wheels, her tour and interview of me got a lot of people coming over to watch. Also Vanlife with Gina. Gina, thank you. You do so many shout outs for me and have featured me on your channel, so I am so grateful for that. And also Johnny's Journey also has done the same thing, and I know that all of their family, faithful followers on their channels are really a family, and I am grateful to see that kind of transpire within the community. It's a really good thing, and I want to keep that going as well. So welcome to you who have come over from other places. Welcome if you've come from somewhere else as well, and hopefully we can feel that sense of community as well on this channel. So I have been gone for almost a month, and I am coming back, so you will see some videos of where I just was, and hopefully that will be fun to see, kind of a day in the life in a little bit, and what I was up to when I went out to Pahrump. But for now, we are going to deal with lots of questions that I've been having on the videos that I have. So Sandra, you actually asked to hear more about my backstory and why I'm in the van. And there are several of you who have also asked that question. And what I think for me, it is the season of life that I am in. I am a mother, a grandmother, and I wanted to have a place that I could be mobile and go and visit and kind of have my own little space. I am also in a transition in my life where I was thinking about, do I have another home? Do I have an apartment? What do I do? And this van was my solution to a lot of my own questions in life right now. I also wanted to meet other women, other people who are in my same season of life and who like this kind of thing, being outdoors, being in nature, boondocking, all of that. So it has been great, and I have met so many people, and so that is why I'm doing this. Why I started my channel was really just kind of serendipitous, and that was along with Glorious Life on Wheels, who saw my van, wanted to interview it or interview me, and then just one thing led to another, and I had decided, well, maybe I do a channel of my own. And I'm glad I did, because I originally was filming myself thinking that I would have a little vlog of my own, not thinking that I would do YouTube, but just for my children to see where I go and what my adventures are, and for my grandchildren eventually too, to be able to see that. What does grandma do when she's out and about? So for all of you who have tuned in and want to see about that, about my journey, about why I'm in this van and what I've done to get to this point, stay tuned and you'll see a bunch of that. So now I have a question from Mornings with Granny, and actually there were a few others who I went back through the comments I couldn't find, but had asked me what state I'm in. And I am in Illinois generally, and then I do a lot of my travels to the west. I have family out there, and I also have other reasons to kind of be out in the Pacific Northwest, and so that is where I go, and into the desert in Arizona. Allison Hayes asks, if I could buy any van or RV, would I stick with my setup, and could I see myself living in this full time? So for those of you who don't know, I am only part-time right now in my van. Would I stay with this setup? I would say 100% yes. And the reason being, this van for me and the way it's set up, I actually did it with all my questions in mind, all of the things that I wanted, all of the things that I thought that I would need. And so it is literally set up exactly how I want it right now. Not to say that there's not changes that I could do and little tweaks here and there, for sure, always. Anybody who tells or who shows you van life will say you are always in the process of making and remaking, and you kind of have to, because you are on a little home on wheels that is going through an earthquake every time that you run it down the road. But for the most part, I love this van. It has great gas mileage. It is nice and contained. I can fit anywhere. I can do stealth camping if I want to. I usually don't, but then I love how just everything that I need is within arm's reach. And so yes, I would 100% keep this setup. Sweden and the Philippines journey, and Jen Bathbaum asked, how do I make a living to cover the costs of van life? I am a consultant for international community development, and I've been doing that for years. I have my own non-for-profit, and with what has happened in the last year, things are a little bit different, but I am still able to continue my consulting work, and that is how I continue to do this. Aid C, you asked me if I would ever move over to the dark side and get a roof box. I don't know that I would. I like being able to fit into a garage, and I may one day get a roof deck where I would have a ladder, and then maybe I could get into a toolbox or something like that. But I, for now, am just gonna stick with what I have. Travel Camper Adventures asks about my awning, so that I can explain. I will leave a link in the description below. But yes, this is a new addition for me, and it was one of those universal racks, so it was rather inexpensive for these types of awnings. So if you want to see a demonstration of it, I can show you that. So this is the awning, and I think it's about 6 foot by 5 foot. I don't know. I'll get the dimensions. You'll have the link. But what I've found also is that, like, today is a pretty windy day. I'd say maybe 10-mile-an-hour winds or 20. And I've had this up when there have been gusts of wind. What I do is I take these, right now I just have it on here for the sake of filming, but I usually slide them through here. These are just little hand weights that you can use. And they have this little hole here that slips in, and then I can have this weighted down a little bit. So if you have sandbags, which I couldn't find sandbags, or something that just kind of weighs this end down, I've noticed that it's even better than having tethers down to the ground. Yeah, even if there's a gust, it kind of just drops back down. So that is my awning. Melissa Mouton asks about my shelves, and I'm not sure which one she means, because she said the ones that were behind me, and I wasn't sure what she was talking about. It might have been these shelves, which are from IKEA, and I did explain that in the other Q&A, as well as these. These are just littler shelves. These are a lot wider than the other ones that are thinner but longer. So these are 2 in a row that I have, and then this one is just by itself. So behind here is kind of like this, a factory hole that you put a bolt in, and that is what is behind here. So this is kind of drilled into those factory holes there, and it just has this, actually this is that rubber stuff, and I have it behind in several places as well to just kind of keep it from moving, because it's only hooked to that one factory pole. But you can see it doesn't move. It's on there really, really well. And if you are talking about the one behind where the driver's seat and passenger chair are, so these, if you were talking about this shelf, which is above where the driver's and passenger seat are, this is just another one of those IKEA shelves, and it is connected by the bolts on both sides to the shelving that I have put up here, that I extended out, and it has a metal bracket, if you can see right here, that keeps it on and it's kind of connected on these plastic things. So it's just a board, and then that piece is, these are screwed in here. That's how that is mounted. Frank G and C. Miguel asked me about these packages and what brands I use. And I really can't tell you all of the brands that I use. I literally just look for them in the grocery store. This one is Maya Kamal Everyday Dal, it's organic. This one is Lundberg, it's also organic. I just kind of go through the organic section. This is non-GMO organic Philos. And really just, whenever I see them, I pick them up, and they can be different brands. So sorry if that doesn't help you, but these are a few of the brands. There's tons of them that do this. And Callie, you ask about the laundry strips, and they do not, you said you had another brand that seemed to be sticky or gooey when you put it in, but this is what these look like, and they kind of have a plasticky feel, but I just throw them in with my laundry and I have not had a problem with it. Judy Utah and Jeanette Boss asked me about my toilet situation, and I had gone into that a little bit in some of the interviews, but I will be going into that more thoroughly because it probably merits its own. Suffice it to say, it fits under my little bench in front, and I will do a special video just on that for those of you who are curious. Anne in GG, Erin of the Valley, and Sharon O'Neill all asked me about my shoe organizer. And as you can see, you've seen the one on the back, but you've probably never seen it this side. I cut the shoe organizer. This is the very top of it, and it is made of a canvas material with mesh here, and then some of them are more solid as they go down, like the ones in my back door, but they are very roomy. And here on this side, I did not want to put any bolts in them, so it is just on by this. So it's just a double-sided tape, and it just sticks on this way. And somebody actually asked me if I can open my door if it has room, and it does have room. I wouldn't put too many bulky things, but as you can see, I've got mittens, I've got socks and gloves and different bags in here, and these are squishy enough that if there isn't enough room, it'll just squish down, but there's plenty of room to put little stuff like that. And on the back, this one in the back here, I have bolted it down with these are just the self-tapping screws here in 3 spots, because I did have it, as you can see, I had this double-sided tape, but because I have some heavier things in this one, like my magnets and some lights and things like that, it just needed some extra support. So those are self-tapping screws that I use, just 3 of them in the door, so I didn't figure that I would go through or cause any harm that way. Saunders Life asks about my little defroster and how many watts it pulls. So I actually have forgotten because I got this quite a while ago, but I'm going to use it in my Jackery so we can see how many watts it pulls. So this is a Jackery 500. So when I turn it on, it is showing how many watts. So right now, while it's on a heater, it is pulling about 98 watts. 110. So I think actually it's 130 now that I'm seeing this. So it's going up to 115, 117, yeah. So as it gets hotter, it pulls. I think the maximum is maybe just 120 because it's not going any higher than 118. So hopefully that answers your question. It answers mine. Now I know, and it's very warm, very, very warm. And this, I tell you, I can do it from my Jackery, but a lot of times I just turn on the car at night because somebody else asked me about how I keep warm at night. And I turn on the car for about 5 minutes while I have it heating up in the front cabin, and then I pull this through here to warm up this part of the cabin. And I have my indoor temperature read, and it gets about 70 degrees. So that, especially when it's cold, when it's warm, I don't need anything, but I like the temperature between like 50 and 60. And so if I get it in here warm about 70 and get under the covers, then I'm good all night. Daphne 9124 asks if I have ever thought about reversing my passenger seat so that it faces backwards. I actually have. I have actually thought about taking it out entirely, but then I do occasionally have one of my children traveling with me, so I do want to have that. I want a safe spot for them to be able to buckle up. So I am going to put that off until I know if I really, really want to do that. But it is an option for me. Barbara Scott, Connie F, and Kathy Reeve all ask again about my cabinet. There is a link in the previous question and answer that I did about this, and I will also put one in this video. How it fits over the wheel well is that I didn't put the back on, and I just needed to cut out a very little bit of it so that it would fit. But the way that this was designed, it was almost like it was for this van because I didn't have to do much, and it is just attached through the factory hole and a bolt and L brackets on either side to the floor. Tracy Kozel, you asked if I could do a video about how I exercise in my van, and a lot of people actually have been commenting or questioning that even as I am out and about. So I really would like to answer that question in more detail, so I will do a video on that. So, and if you think that's a good idea, just let me know in the comments below. And Design Doctor 247 asks if I would do a video about a day in the life of, which is also coming up because I have been gone for several weeks and been filming, and so there should be quite a bit that we can do to show you kind of what a typical day in the life van life looks like for me. In my last Q&A, I had actually asked you all if you could suggest what I could do to keep this mirror fastened up here, because I did have a problem with it always bouncing off and coming out. And Doc Watson and Shannon H had their suggestions. Doc Watson said use a 16 gauge soft iron wire for the mirror, and I tried that, but it still was kind of hanging off this way. Shannon said industrial strength Velcro. I believe that's what she was saying for the mirror, and I tried, but it has a backing that kind of goes in, so it's not flush with this wall, which is also not straight. So that's a problem you have anytime you're doing anything in a van, is that none of the walls are straight or square or anything. But I did find a solution, and it has worked. I went on a 1,500-mile journey, and this never came off once, and I will show a little picture here where you can see what I used, and I would use it again, and I would use it on anything that I hung up in here because it works so well. Pam Murphy, you had made the suggestion from the last Q&A that I get a foldable or collapsible aluminum table, and I will show you what I got. I love the look of it, very following your suggestion, but it's basically this. This folds up into what you see, which fits right underneath, and it's about this wide, and then it's the length of the table itself, and all you do is unfold it like this and like this. So then these kind of flip over to themselves and cause the table to be steady that way, and then these come up this way. And I usually have this table outside, but I found that I can put it inside as well, just like this. And so it goes up further, so if I have it outside of the van, I can have it about waist height so that I can stand and I can cook on it just fine, or prepare a meal on it. I love also that I can have people inside my van that can fit 4 people very comfortably. Somebody seated over that way and somebody seated here, or several people seated here. And you can play cards or have a meal or do a puzzle. And I love the look of it. This is the brand, Atipa, and it is worth every cent. I really love it. So thanks for the suggestion, Pam, or I would not have looked for this. So that about covers it for the Q&A this time. There have been many great suggestions, and I will continue to highlight those as we go along, so stay tuned for that. I go through all of your comments and suggestions, and I write them down, so I will get to you eventually. And I love that you are involved and you do put comments and questions, because that helps me to know what kind of content you like and what I can do for the future. Again, For those of you who have subscribed, I am really, really grateful. I hope that these videos continue to inspire you. I know that I watched so many videos that inspired me, so it's fun to be on the other side and seeing that I'm giving useful and helpful suggestions to all of you as you kind of start your journeys. So thank you again, and if you haven't already subscribed and liked and put on the little notifications, do that right now, and I will see you in the next video.